Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the practical session on downscaling. I am Renu S., Research Scholar, Civil Engineering Department, NITC. So, in this session, I am planning to give you an overview about the fundamentals of global circulation models, bias correction, and downscaling. And after that, I will show you a demo of downscaling using the R code. So after the tea break, we will do the hands-on training of this downscaling using RStudio software. Before diving to the technical details, first of all, I will ask you some simple question. So, before coming to Calicut City, you all check the weather data app, right? So, what is the weather now like that? So, suppose this app is providing the weather of entire Kerala instead of Calicut City. Will it be useful? No, right? So, the same issue we are facing with GCM data. GCM or Global Circulation Model. How many of you are familiar with GCM? Okay. So this GCM or Global Circulation Model, these are giant mathematical representation of our entire planet. So they simulate physical process across the atmosphere, oceans, and land surface. So the main challenge we are facing with this global circulation model is that its resolution. It is very coarser. It's around 250 to 600 kilometer. It's like we are trying to analyze the monsoon patterns in Calicut city considering the Kerala as a single point. So that is the main challenge we are facing with this GCM data. So as sir already mentioned about this CMIP, coupled model intercomparison project. So we are using this coupled model intercomparison project for downloading this GCM data. So before using this GCM data, the first and important crucial step in GCM is bias correction. So bias correction, it is the process of adjusting the data to reduce or eliminate the bias between observed and model data. So we are trying to eliminate or reduce the bias between observed and model data. That's what bias correction is doing. It's like if we are using a thermometer which is always reading 2 degrees Celsius higher, but we will do in each reading we will subtract that 2 degree. That's what simply bias correction is also doing. So the some of the advantages of bias correction is it corrects the errors and provide more reliable data for climate change impact studies. And it is less computational and easy in application. Different methods of bias corrections are there: delta change method, regression analysis, and Condell mapping. So in this demo session, we are using Condell mapping technique. So delta change method, it is the simplest method. Among these three methods, delta change is the very simplest method. So in this method, the climate model output is used only to calculate the mean change in the quantity of the interest. And in regression analysis, here we are developing some statistical relation between observed data and model data and use this relation to adjust future model projection, correcting for both mean and distributional bias. And the next one is Condell mapping. So it matches the entire statistical distribution in Condell's or percentile of the model output to the distribution of observed data. So it is the most detailed method. Among these three methods, this Condell mapping is the most detailed method. Then after this bias correction, the next step is downscaling. We already told that it is very coarse in resolution. Around 250 to 600 kilometer is its resolution. So in downscaling, we are converting this coarser resolution data to finer resolution. So it's a transformation from large scale features to a small scale. Downscaling also we can explain in terms of spatial downscaling and temporal downscaling. So here we are only focusing on spatial downscaling. It's also two types, statistical and dynamical. So this spatial downscaling is based on mainly three assumptions. First one is it will be possible to determine the significant relation between local and large scale climate. And the second assumption on spatial downscaling is the GCM used for deriving downscaled relationship is valid at scale considered. And third one is these relationships will be remain valid under future climate conditions. So in statistical downscaling, the observed relation between local variable and large climate variables are developed, and it is used to build the statistical model. It's comparatively easy to implement compared to the dynamical downscaling method, but the requirement is we need high quality data. Only then we will get good output. And in dynamical downscaling, so it's running a climate model at fine resolution using the GCM to provide a large scale boundary conditions. So, but it is computationally so complex. So usually we will go with the statistical downscaling method. So this is the basic introduction about GCM models, bias correction and downscaling. So now I am going to the demo session of this downscaling using RStudio. So do you have any questions related to this fundamentals? Then we will move to the demo session. So how many of you are familiar with R software, or how many of you are working with? Okay, almost all. Okay. I will give a just brief introduction how to install this RStudio and how this R interface will looks like. So we will provide you a manual later. In that I have attached the link for downloading R and RStudio. So first you have to install the RStudio. First you have to install the R. After that you have to install the RStudio. Then only it will work properly. So this is how RStudio interface will looks like. Here in this portion, the script portion, you can write the scripts, and this is the console portion. Here you can give the commands, and here is the environment. Here it will shows the loaded functions and all. And in this session, it is the multi-purpose portion. Here you can see the files, plots, packages, help, viewer and presentation. So regarding this installation of RStudio, we will provide the manual, and in that we have attached the link to download the R and RStudio software. Okay, for doing this downscaling, first we will discuss what are the data requirements. So as I mentioned earlier, we need observed data and we need historic GCM data. Observed data and GCM data we need, right? So this observed data we will get from IMD. Here I am considering precipitation as a variable. So we can download this precipitation data from IMD website. So if you need the station data, you can directly contact IMD. They will provide the precipitation data on payment basis. And if you are a research scholar or MTech student, you will get it as free. So here I will show the precipitation data I have taken. So here you can see date, the precipitation value, it's in mm, and the latitude and longitude. So this is the precipitation for Kozhikode city from 2000 to 2014. That is the calibration period I have considered. So I have observed precipitation data from 2000 to 2014 for a latitude of 11.25 and longitude of 75.78. So here you can see the time series plot of precipitation. So in this area, the maximum precipitation we can observe is around 280 mm for during that period from 2000 to 2014. Here I have considered only one station. Suppose if you are dealing with a watershed, there will be multiple stations, right? So in that case, you can add one more column like date, precipitation, station ID, latitude and longitude. And here you can give the date 1/1/2000 and precipitation value, latitude, longitude, and station ID you can give station A. Suppose you have two stations, you can name it as station A and station B, and you can add it as a third row. Like that, you can modify this observed data set. So this observed data set should be in CSV format or Excel format to perform this downscaling. Is it clear? Okay. The next thing we need is CMIP6 data. So this CMIP6 data we can download from this CMIP6 interface. This is the CMIP6 interface. The link of this website also we will attach in that manual. So here you can see so many filters are available like MIP, era, activity, product, source ID, institution ID, source type, like that. So here you can apply some filters. So today I am dealing with precipitation data. So I am giving this variable as PR. Precipitation in CMIP6 it's represented as PR. So just go down. Here you can see this is PR. PR means precipitation. If you are dealing with temperature data, it will represent as T max or T minima, like that. So if you are referring the manual, you can see what each variable representing. So here I have selected PR for precipitation data, and I'm also giving the scenarios. So under this experiment ID, you can give the scenario. So I have a historical data, right? From 2000 to 2014, I have observed historical data. So for doing this bias correction, I need CMIP6 data for that same period. So here I'm just taking the historical data. Historical. So after doing this bias correction, I am planning to apply this bias correction to the future data also. So I am considering two scenarios also. Sir already explained about the SSP scenarios. So here I am just considering SSP 245 and SSP 585 scenario. SSP 245, SSP 585. And if you want, you can give the nominal, you can select the nominal resolution. It's starting from 10 kilometer and it's up to 500 kilometer. I'm not selecting that. And source type also you can select. You can see the different sources. And frequency you can change. If you want hourly data, you can just select this hour. Or if you are dealing with daily data, you can select day. Because our observed data is daily, so here also you can select as day. Okay, like that you can apply the filters, and after applying the filters, just click on search. So now you can see around 617 results came. So these are different GCM models. So here you can see this is EC Earth 3 wedge. The model name is EC Earth 3 wedge, and it is SSP 245 scenario, and day means it is daily data, and PR means it is precipitation. So similarly after applying filter you will get so many models. So from this model, how you can find which model is best for your observed data, or which model is best for your study area. So what you have to do is like after applying some basic filter like historical period and the scenario you are considering, after applying this basic filter, you have to list out at least 10 GCM models. And after that, you can use some ranking methods like TOPSIS, and there are so many ranking methods are there. Using that methods, you can just rank the GCM. It's based on the observed data. So you can rank the GCM, and from that you can find which GCM will best fit for your study area. So it will be different for different variable. Suppose for this Calicut city, I got EC Earth 3 as the best model for precipitation, then it will be different for temperature. So we can't say if I got EC Earth 3 best for precipitation in Kozhikode, we can't say it will be best for temperature also. So you have to perform this ranking methods for each variable. So this is how, then just if you click on this show metadata, you can see the resolution and the period from which to which. So here it is SSP. It's available from 2015 to 2100. Up to far future, this data is available. And if you list files, you can see the data. So the first file is from 2015 January 1st to 2015 December 31st, like that it's up to 2100. So by clicking on this HTTP download, you can download the GCM data. For what year you want, you can download that. And this file will be in netcdf format, nc format, .nc format. So in this exercise, we will convert it into, not convert, we are extracting the data for our required latitude and longitude from this NC file using the options available in our software. So by just clicking on this HTTP download, you can download that data for particular model for that particular year. So any doubts related to this CMIP6 data downloading? Sorry? Yes. There are different methods are there. One such method is TOPSIS. TOPSIS, TOPSIS, TOPSIS method. It's like multi-criteria decision-making methods. So in that, we are finding relation with the observed data, and based on that, we are finding which model is most best, like that. No, it's a method. Yeah. No, you can implement it is using codes. Yeah. There are different methods are there. TOPSIS is the most commonly used one. Okay, now we prepared two important data set, the observed and the model data. So in this particular exercise, I have considered observed data from 2000 to 2014. So for that same period, I have downloaded historical data from the model. And for the future period, I have considered only from 2015 to 2020. For easy implementation, I have considered this year. So if you are dealing with climate change and all, the data up to 2100 is available. It's a far future data. So based on your requirement, you can download the data. So in the hands-on training session, we will share this folder. So this downscaling folder, you can see there are 3 folders: future, historical, and processed outputs. So the here I just randomly downloaded on model. I haven't done any ranking and all. I just downloaded based on the some filters. After applying some filters, I just downloaded. So here the historical data is from 2000 to 2014. It's EC3 wedge model I have downloaded here. And the future data is from 2015 to 2020. And this observed data I already shown it. It's in CSV format. And this is the processed output. This is what the result we will get. I will show it later. And this is the code for downscaling. Okay. Then I will explain the code. The code is a bit larger, so I will explain the sections. Each section, but we are doing like that. Okay, after preparing all these data set, the next step is we are going to the R software and we just open the R code. We will provide that. And the first step is installation of required packages. So here the code will explain what are the required packages. So here you can see we have used multiple packages, and this NCDF4, it's for reading and writing netcdf files, because I already told the CMIP6 data, it will be usually in .nc netcdf format. So for operating that, we need this NCDF4 package. And this lubridate, it's for handling and manipulating dates and times. And write Excel, it's for exporting results to in Excel format. And qmap, it is the function we are using for condyle mapping. I already explained about condyle mapping. It's a bias correction method. That are the main packages required, and the system will check if the packages is already installed. If any packages is missing, it will install automatically, and after installation it will load the required packages. And after that, the next step is configuration settings. Configuration setting means it is the user settings that control the analysis. So in that part, we will give the directories of our input data like observational and model data, and where we need the output. All those things we are giving at this portion. So here we are creating a list called config to store all the configuration settings, and here you can edit the configuration sections like here you can see CMIP6 historical directory. So here you can change your own directory, and this future also you can change, and here you can give the observed file and output directory. Then here you can give the period which we are considering. The historical period, here I have considered from 2000 to 2014. If you are considering some other period, you can change here. And future period I have considered is 2015 to 2020. And this here you can give the condyle step. The condyle step is smaller. It will be computationally, it will take more time, but it will be more accurate. and the precipitation threshold I have given 0.1. This 0.1 means if the precipitation at a particular day is below 0.1, I will consider it as a wet day. Otherwise, I will consider, sorry, it's below 0.1, I will consider it as a dry day, and if it is above 0.1, it will be a wet day. And here you can give the spatial downscaling parameters. So here the model I have downloaded has a spatial resolution of 100 kilometer. That's why I have given source resolution in kilometer as 100 and a target resolution. So I am downscaling the data to 25 kilometer resolution. So for which resolution you want to downscaling, based on that you can give the values. So after this configuration settings, next step is utility functions. So it's particularly for working with netcdf files because our GCM data are in netcdf format. So that's why we are using this utility functions. So here you can adjust the longitude and time format. So it will be different from our normal format. So you can change it here and applying some mask for data and specific time periods. And after that I am loading the observational data. So observational data I already told, if I am considering a single point, then it's fine. Otherwise, if you are dealing with a watershed, there will be multiple stations. So that time we will have more than one station IDs. So it will automatically detect whether it is single point or multi-station. That's what this session of code is doing. Okay, this code will automatically detect single and multiple stations and extract the coordinate information based on the observed data we have given. And after that, if suppose our observed data has some missing values, it will fill the missing values based on monthly mean imputation to preserve the seasonal patterns. Monthly mean imputation means it's just take the average of each month, and suppose some data is missing, that average will use to fill that gap. So after that, we'll extract the CMIP6 data required for our latitude and longitude. And it's all related to the data set. And after that, next step is bias correction. It's using Condale mapping. So for performing this bias correction, first it will extract the monthly data from the CSV file and netcdf file and calculate the biases using qmap function. So it's trained the Condale mapping model using historical, observational and GCM data, and it will validate the model using the GCM data sets, and the bias will be adjusted for the future data set also. Okay. After doing this bias correction, so there is no bias in our data. It is adjusted using the observed data. So next our aim is to downscale this data. Now also it's in 100 kilometer resolution. So now we are going to downscaling it to 25 kilometer. So here I have used some simplified downscaling method. So if we are dealing with this statistical downscaling, we have considered some predictors like what are the variables which are supporting this precipitation. Like precipitation is not a independent variable, right? So it's depend on humidity, temperature, and all those variables. So if you are performing the statistical downscaling in a proper way, you have to use this predictors. So here I have used a simplified downscaling using interpolation, spatial interpolation. So I just interpolated this 100 kilometer to 25 kilometer. So that is the process, and after that you can just export the result in Excel format, and if you want some plot you can add this in this particular session. And this is the main execution controller. It will execute the full CMIV6 code and test and validate if all the system requirements and dependencies before the execution. And the last one is execution, and this is the expected output. So after running this code, we will get two Excel sheet, one for historical and one for future. So this is the historical. Like here you can see the date and the latitude and longitude of our input data, and GCM precipitation, which is extracted from that netcdf file. And this is the bias corrected precipitation, and this is the downscaled precipitation value. Similarly, you will get for future data also. This is the code. I only explained the sessions. So after running this code, you will get more idea about it. So I will just run it, and after that we will go to the computer lab and we will have a hands-on training. So this is the R code downscaling.r, and this is the entire code. And just okay, here you can see the different modules what I explained: data loading and pre-processing, and okay, now this code is run completely, and the output will get in processed output folder. So this code extracted GCM data of my observed latitude and longitude, and this is the GCM precipitation value. It's in mm per day. Actually, in this netcdf file, it will be in kilogram per meter square per second. So we are multiplying with it 86,400 to get in mm per day. And this is the bias corrected value, and this is the downscaled values. Similarly, you will get for future data also. Okay.
Basically, I want to ask them about the purpose of doing this. Maybe you can ask that. I understood everything, but I just wanted to. So you understood the purpose of doing bias correction downscaling? So the basic understanding of bias correction and downscaling, you got that right? I'm assuming, is that clear enough? Okay, she was using quantile mapping.
So for statistical downscaling, I just interpolated.
Oh, you are interpolating this for statistical downscaling for grid size reduction. But she was asking about, did you ask for bias correction information? No, no, okay. Only for downscaling part. Okay. She was using statistical downscaling.
No, actually, it is not statistical downscaling. I have used only simplified downscaling because here I have only considered the precipitation data. So in the real statistical downscaling method, you have to consider the variables which are supporting this precipitation data. In the real case, it is precipitation, it's not an independent variable, right? It depends on the temperature, humidity. There are so many parameters which depend on this precipitation. So if you are doing statistical downscaling, you have to consider that predictors also. So here I just used interpolation. I am just regridding from 100 to 25 kilometer.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, we talked about it. So you are talking about 100 into like four grids of 25.
25 kilometer.
We could write it down. Is this Mark 4 or is it like 10?
Right.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry if they don't have it. Um, do we have pens here? If they have pen, we can just draw down. Otherwise, it's an extra effort only. So I'm actually just giving you again basic information, right? So we are talking about bias correction here. One is model, the other one is observe. Okay. So you can talk about quantile mapping. That's what she was presenting about. So in this case, you see the model, I mean the model is in the top, observed is in the bottom. So a consistent bias that we are seeing here, right, with respect to, let's say this is temperature. Variable is temperature or precipitation. So this difference, delta, that we want to adjust. Objectively, we want to take the bias from the observed model data. So using the observed data, we try to subtract or take the difference, or using the quantile mapping approach, we are taking only at certain quantiles of this difference and then adjust that in the model produced temperature or precipitation data. Once you do this bias correction, you assume that this model does not have any more bias. But this model is at a resolution of 1 degree. Is that 1 degree data? So 1 degree, as you know, roughly it's about 100 kilometers on a spatial scale. So I don't know whether you are able to see from your place. Let's say this is 100 degree or 100 kilometers or 1 degree spatial resolution. We are talking about 25 kilometers, or maybe I'm talking of, let's say this is 50. 0.5. So I'm going to be giving an example of 0.5 degree here. 0.5 degrees, 50 kilometers. So we are going to divide that into 425 kilometers. So this is 50 kilometer to 25 kilometer. We are doing the spatial downscaling because I want to go high resolution with my output. So this data is, let's say, half a degree or 50 kilometer. Now I want to change this to 25 kilometer. What we have used in this example is nearest neighborhood approach that we. Okay. Spatial weighting method. It's basically like this in polygon or the nearest, the one that is closer based on the distance from the location. In this case, we are talking about quarry code. So from the location, in this case, we are talking about spatial downscaling for a given point. Given point is quarry code location here, this city that we are talking about. How far is this cell from quarry code? How far is this cell from quarry code? Likewise, we are talking about the spatial distance and give weight according to the distance. If it's far away, you give less weight. If it's closer, you give more weight. So we did that spatial weighting for 4 different pixels and come up with from 50 kilometer, now we are coming to 25 kilometers. So for any climate model, these two things are very common nowadays. We're talking about bias correction, remove the bias from the time series data, but you have to do this for every grid. Another important thing you have to remember, we showed you a large area, global model or country scale models. There are lots of grids. We are talking about doing this bias correction for every grid. So you have to program it in a way that you will do one by one for every grid. Put it in a loop so you will do that. Same thing with respect to downscaling. There are a variety of methods. What we are showing here is the spatially weighted distance method. Different kriging kind of thing, right? This is, so we can talk about different types of downscaling approaches, nearest neighborhood, or simple downscaling by just dividing them into multiple small grids. So many number of methods are available in the literature. Science is heading in a direction now that you don't need the spatial bias correction if you are able to run the model at high resolution. So instead of 25 kilometers, now climate models are being downscaled even to 9 kilometers or 10 kilometers right now. So maybe in another generation of climate model outputs, not CMIP 6, but I'm saying maybe another 1 or 2 generation down the road, you are going to see high resolution climate model products already available. That means the original model developers are already going to develop or run the model at high resolution, which we can directly use. But the only thing we may still have to do is to do the bias correction, because models can never be out of this bias problem, because we are running it on a global scale. There will be bias, certainly. So that you need to still remove in some ways. But downscaling may be avoided down the road if you're talking about machine learning or climate model already having high resolution. You don't need to worry about the downscaling part, but for now you have to do this. So the downscaling part is primarily to identify watershed scale analysis if you want to do, or basically for a given point that you want to do this analysis using climate model, this approach is required. Did I ask any other things that you would like to discuss? If not, I think it's about the time that maybe you need another hour to do this analysis, right? To run the code, to have a feel for how to do this. And then you can branch out. Some of you may have already done the downscaling bias correction part, but this is a necessary step. Anybody? Okay, then you might learn something interesting. But again, this is just the beginning. You may have to really expand this when you're doing it at a watershed scale, river basin scale, or country scale analysis, because you will have multiple grids and the resolution may be even higher, and the approach that nearest neighborhood or some other downscaling bias, statistical approach that what we were talking about, you need to really think about different methods to do what would be the best data that you can get. Climate model data will have lots of uncertainties. Unless we do this stuff, anything else you do after this may be not so useful. The interpretation of model results will not be accurate if you don't do this part. So that's why we do.